Hello, friends. Welcome to Coding Garden with CJ. Welcome to Coding Improv, the show where the code is made up and the points don't matter. That stream alert, I think, is in the wrong location. Hello, Chief Mustardo with the gift. Thank you very much. I feel like that should go like there. There. Cool. Welcome in, everyone. And Coding is Weird says play the guitar, please. So somebody remind me later, because I do want to make some music. So maybe we can spend a few minutes doing that later on. We're going to write code first and all that good stuff. But yeah, so Coding Improv is a show we've been doing for a while. So this is going to be episode 17. And ultimately, we build an app inspired by what you all suggest. So you can make suggestions using your channel points or your seedlings. So click down here in Twitch chat, and specifically this improv suggestion reward is what you can use to redeem a suggestion. I'm not gonna get suggestions right now. As you can see, it's paused, but in 5 to 10 minutes, we'll enable that. We'll get a few suggestions in, and then we'll just figure out what to build based on those suggestions. So yeah. Well, thanks for the reminder, Ryan. Remind me when we're done with Coding Improv. But yeah, welcome in, everyone. Something happened, but I couldn't see it. all of my alerts are messed up today. Let's see. Stream alerts is there. Seems fine. Though I didn't even see anything in the Twitch chat. I don't know. Thank you all for the support. Chief Mustardo, thank you for the 17 months, who says, little late to keep the streak, but 17 months nonetheless. Yeah, I appreciate you. Thanks for being here. The Beat League, thanks for that Prime sub. Welcome in. Welcome to the community. And Chief Mustardo, thanks for the 2 gifted. Okay. Yeah, I see a lot of people in the chat that found me on YouTube. I thank you for being here. If you're new here, you can play the drop game. In the chat, type !drop me. That should drop your avatar from the sky. So we're actually, what is it? We're 3 days away from Twitch completely shutting down the version 5 API. And I have a lot of apps that I haven't updated yet. So it's possible that next week's stream just won't have any overlays or anything, because a lot of my apps are still using the version 5 API. That's why I keep getting nervous when things break, because like, has it happened yet? But we got a couple days. But yeah, if you land in the garden, you will get your name on the screen for a few seconds. Is he gonna make it? Yes. Who is that? Idnam Siv. Welcome in. Cool, yeah. And so whenever we enable suggestions, the idea with this is that you're just suggesting one single word. And you will have to use this channel point suggestion thing to suggest that. After we get those initial 5 one-word suggestions, then I'll take suggestions from the chat on what we can do with those 5 one-word suggestions. But we're not there yet. Yeah. Getify is saying, can I ask a question? I want to start my YouTube channel, but I don't know if I should do it in English or my native language. I'm a French native. I don't know how many French coding creators are out there, but probably not as many English coding creators. So I would say you do it in your native language, and you can help people that speak your native language. Because if they can't speak English, then there might not be content for them. So I say do it in French. Do it in French. I haven't looked at Google Hashcode now. Hire Alka to move over to the new API. I mean, I could do it. I just procrastinate a lot. Cool. Well, let's say hi to everybody. If you'd like to say hello to me, you can. Yes, you can type a message that matches that regular expression. Hi, hello, hey, morning, afternoon, howdy, good day, go to coding, hi-o, vohio, or bogahay. Say any of these things, I'll say hi right back to you. And we're going to go back in time to 15 minutes ago, where Coding Garden Fan was the first person to say hello. Thanks for being here, Coding Garden Fan. And What's up, Zarty? And I am Frustrated Coder. And Lakshman, hello. What's up, Sir Davos and Danielle and Crusted Person? First timer, welcome in. Anytime you see a red chat, that's the first time that person has ever sent a message. So welcome in. What's up, Mambaldi and Limotes and Stone Eagle and Chief Mustardo and Game Boy and Admiral and Wasi Hassan Khan. Hello. What's up, Mihai Andre and Total Rat and Punkix and Ryan, who says, "Are we going to do TypeScript today?" I'll say the likelihood of that is very low, 10% chance, but it's not a 0% chance. We might write TypeScript. Who's to say? Allers, hello, what's up, Waleed? And it's been a while. Thanks for being here. I miss you as well. Glad you could drop by. What's up, Sound of Gaming? And Surf Demon. And Prod is for testing. Hello, hello. What's up, Jords? Happy Friday to you as well. Is Coding Train live right now? I guess he used to always stream on Fridays, but has he always still streamed? I feel like for a while he didn't stream on Fridays. But you should probably watch him. He's smart. I spelled it wrong, but it still found it. He's smarter. He's more entertaining. He does cooler things. He's working on a book. Go watch Coding Train. Cool. Leak Geek, what's up? Colloquial. It's been a while as well. Thank you for being here. Yeah, appreciate you. What's up? It's Rushki, bro. Hello, Julian and Getify and Ashley B and Fakrudin and Arpan and Altiopper and Electrothermal Boga. Hey, what's up, Kellerina and Ezrob and Stoot Boga. Hey to you as well. What's up, Blue Hippie and Practic and Delta Time and Powhatan and Mithu and Max and Segmentation Fault. Hello, Mr. Gollum and Unicorn, Lizzie and Samit and Patrick Code and Killer and Slick Sense and CRS1138. Hi there. What's up, Oscar and JP? So, welcome in, everyone. I appreciate you for dropping in on this Friday. Yeah, there is a there's a GitHub repo. If you just search for drop game, you should find it. Actually, I think it's Seedling Drop. Yeah, this is the one. Right now, it does not animate animated Twitch emotes. It shows what you call it, Franker Face or Better Twitch TV emotes are animated, but Twitch ones aren't. And the issue is you actually wouldn't be able to fix that from this repo because there's a backend repo that is like extremely deprecated, but it's holding on for dear life, and it's likely in here that you would need to fix. But that repo is going to go away soon. Anyways, I don't know. I've been saying it's going to go away for like the past year. I just haven't updated things. Yeah. Yeah, Improv stream is anywhere from an hour to 3 hours. Today, probably no more than 2 hours because I do got some work to do after stream. But we built a lot of different things. Let me show you real quick some of the stuff we've done. The very first coding improv was called Bean Hiker. Basically, you're presented with a map. You choose a location on the map, and you can possibly catch Pokemon. So we just caught a coughing. And then you choose another location, and you see that it's making a trail. And you just keep making a trail on the map. And as you go down that trail, you might eventually find some beans. Good old Bean Hiker, yeah. Well, surprisingly, we haven't... Oh, there it is! We found one bean. And then there's a haiku. Start on a trailhead, hike until you're happy, then you drive back home. And we can just keep hiking, try to find more beans. I just want one more bean. There we go. We got 2 beans. So silly things like that. I don't know if this site works anymore, but the second one was we created Chicken Tender, which is tender for chickens. So basically, you're presented with a chicken, and you can decide whether or not you want to accept them or reject them. This one was cool. I forget what all the commands are. But this one, basically in Twitch chat, let's see if we can find the commands, because there are commands you can run in Twitch chat, which will put your country flag on the board. So where are our command handlers? Yeah, chicken tender. Join team. So exclamation mark join dash team space a 2-character country code. So I would do exclamation join dash team US. Let's see if it works. I don't even know if it'll work. I mean, there's no errors. So you join the team, and then what happens? Oh, I totally forgot. It's very possible that, yeah, get countries. It's very possible that that API we were using doesn't work anymore. Yeah, REST countries, they totally shut down their API. Pretty sure. Which is lame. So that app's broken. Yeah, that app is broken. But it used to be that you would join a team and then the flag would get bigger or smaller depending on how many people from that country joined that team, and then they were like spinning around the screen. We have a soundboard that we made, and then I forgot to list them here, but we've done other random stuff. Can anybody in the chat mention some of the stuff we've done before? A few streams ago, we made like a coffee shop simulator game where you like orders would come in. Yeah, and you'd have to, it was kind of, we were inspired by, what was that? What's that game? The cooking game? Overcooked. We were inspired by Overcooked. So you get an order, and then you have to put the ingredients in the cup in the right order. Yeah, so we made a piano that used a cat meow. So we found one sound of a cat meowing, and then we used the web audio API to pitch it to different things, and then you could play a piano on screen, but it was just a cat meowing. Yeah, Dung Hero, I don't think was actually a... oh, it's down. I haven't checked on this in a long time. This wasn't a coding improv, but we did code it in about an hour. The scale balance game was fun too. So that one was you could send a Twitch chat command to put an emoji on one side or another side of the scale. And then as a collective chat, you were trying to balance the scale. Yeah, lots of other interesting, weird stuff. Most of it is not useful, but it is fun to just like write a thing with a few constraints and then forget about it. Cool. Let's get into it. So like I mentioned, you're going to use your channel points, your seedlings, to make a suggestion. It will require 1,337 channel points to make a suggestion, and we're only going to accept the first 5. Only first 5. Oh yeah, the community cube was weird but interesting. We used Three.js, and so we had this 3-dimensional cube that would like rotate, and then you could use chat commands to put a message onto the cube, and the cube would just rotate with messages on it. That was also very useless, but it was fun to build. Yeah, and then happiness is I don't think that was a coding improv. That was just a one-off thing, but that was fun. Does anybody remember the here it is. I think the back... Oh, here it is. Okay, great. I don't know if this is running right now, but this was essentially in the chat. People could send a chat command that said happiness is, and then they could say what happiness is. And then it shows up here in this gallery of happiness. So happiness is learning to code. Happiness is drop table quotes. Happiness is when your stream starts. Happiness is beer. Happiness is Streamlabs working. Happiness is making other people happy. Happiness is learning something new, like coding. So we do a lot of interesting stuff like that here on the Coding Garden. All right, I'm going to say all the improv thing again so that way we can clip this for YouTube eventually. Yeah, so it's disabled. I have not enabled it, and we're only going to allow the first 5 suggestions. So Hello, friends. Welcome to Coding Garden with CJ. Welcome to Coding Improv, the show where the code is made up and the points don't matter. So in a moment, I'm going to enable this channel point redemption. We're going to get 5 random suggestions from people in chat, and then we're going to use those 5 suggestions to build an app of some kind. We have no idea what it's going to be. It's all going to be based on what the chat suggests. And so whenever you do make a suggestion, it should be one word, and it should be very general, like iPad, or bottle, or hat, or guitar, or can, or card, or anything like that. Any English word is fine as long as it's not something technical. So don't just suggest use Vue.js or use Mongo. Don't suggest anything like that. We want like random one-word suggestions. Okay? Everybody got it? Can I get a smile in the chat if you understand? If you understand. And also, you should be ready. So if you want to make a suggestion, click on Improv and be ready. Because the moment I enable it, we're going to get a bunch of suggestions. Okay, ready, set, go. Okay, that's it. That's all. No more suggestions, unfortunately. But let's see what we got. We got Limotes, who suggested Scarecrow. That is a random word. I appreciate that. Sound of Gaming with the word grease. Lexi Ray with popcorn. GK Beat with water. And American 2050 with yerba mate. You know what? I have a yerba mate in the fridge that I haven't opened. So maybe I'll go grab that. Cool. Let's put this in here. And we'll line up all the suggestions. So Limote suggested Scarecrow. Sound of Gaming suggested Grease. Lexi Ray suggested Popcorn. The stream delay was fierce, yeah. I mean, it actually, like, the suggestions didn't come in as fast as they normally do, but they still came in pretty fast. Okay, so, this is what we got. In chat, start thinking of things we could build that incorporate all of these suggestions. I'm going to put like a 5-minute timer on, and by the end of the 5-minute timer, we should know what we're going to build based on these suggestions. Give me 1 second. A farming game? We haven't built a farming game before. Grease. I mean, when I heard the term grease, I was thinking of like Grease Lightning, which is a movie. Yeah, there's popcorn, so maybe like greasy popcorn, something like that, maybe. But here, let's start a 4.5-minute timer. Greasy bacon. So we do actually have a yerba mate emote. Not that. I think it's coding yerba, like that. So we have this emote. We could do something interesting with this emote. What do we do with the Scarecrow? You have to cook the popcorn you grow in the grease, and maybe you're supplying a movie theater. That could be interesting. So, basically, like, orders come in, and it's like a game where you have to create the popcorn somehow. Recipe books for scarecrows. Something to do with Wizard of Oz. This suggestion is just so random. I mean, it's so different that it kind of seems everything else has to be based on it. Let's learn about scarecrows. I'm just going to look up the Wikipedia article for a scarecrow. A scarecrow is a decoy or mannequin. Okay, that's good. Often in the shape of a human. Humanoid scarecrows are usually dressed in old clothes and placed in open fields to discourage birds from disturbing and feeding on recently cast seed and growing crops. So, what if... I mean, it's so often that these ideas just turn into like little mini games, but what if you're a scarecrow and there is popcorn falling from the sky, and you need to stop that popcorn. You need to collect that popcorn into a bucket, because if it makes it onto the ground, the crows are going to eat it. That's it. That's a game. We'd have to somehow incorporate, I guess, maybe it can rain, which would make the popcorn soggy. That's where the water suggestion could come in. And maybe if you catch yerba mates, you can like move faster. Yeah. So this idea of like a concession stand attendee, it's kind of like overcooked. So I want to avoid that because it's similar to the coffee game. But I could see that. Basically, like you're working at a movie theater and you're trying to serve up all this stuff. Grow popcorn and yerba mate. Yeah. So yeah, like you're in charge of like a farm or a field or something like that. What's up, Ucha? Thanks for being here. Rain would wash away grease on the ground that makes you slower. I don't know. So I don't think we would use 3JS directly, but we would try to find a game framework based on 3JS, because 3JS is fairly low level. Yeah. I guess we're making a game. Okay, so that's one idea. How long do we have? We still have like, let's say 2 or 3 minutes. Like a Scarecrow moving game. Popcorn falls from sky. Collect in bucket. Stop scarecrows from eating popcorn. That's one idea. But let's try to come up with an idea that's not a game. Something that on the surface seems useful, but probably is still not very useful. But let's come up with some other ideas that are not games. Low level just means more complex code. So 3JS specifically is a wrapper on top of WebGL. And WebGL is a lower level language that lets you write code directly for a graphics card. 3JS is higher level, because you don't have to write so much low-level code, but still you don't have things like a physics engine built in. There's no sprite renderer built in to 3JS. All of those things you'd have to build on top of 3JS. Thank you all for the supports, by the way. Yeah. A recipe book involving greasy popcorn for crows to eat. I'm not opposed to that, because it would be fun to like find a recipe API to integrate with. And I mean, how many popcorn recipes are out there? Let's see what we got. Microwave popcorn, sriracha lime popcorn. That sounds good. Kettle corn, gourmet microwave popcorn, Italian popcorn with Parmesan. There are a lot of popcorn recipes. So what if we make a recipe book and our mascot is a scarecrow? Lime pop? Yeah, I bet there's like chili lime. Yeah. Exactly. It's got lime oats. Lime. Use ML5A to guess if an image is a scarecrow, grease, or popcorn. I'm not opposed to a recipe book. I know it's not as exciting as a game. But here's what you'll get. Web scraping. So it's very likely that we're not going to find just a single API that has popcorn recipes. So we could do some web scraping to pull all of these recipes, and present them in a nice way. We could have pages in the recipe book that tell us to remember to drink water, and then like every other page will say remember to drink yerba mate so you have enough energy to keep making popcorn. Yeah. Grease or water is a ranking for the popcorn recipes. Yeah, this recipe gets 3 glasses of water, or this recipe gets 5, like on a 5-star scale, or 5 buckets of grease. Every 50 popcorns you collect, you unlock a recipe. I just don't want to make a game. So, all right, I think our timer is up, so we have to decide. I'll throw it to the chat. We're going to do a poll, and it's going to be one or the other. What to build? Popcorn recipe book. Scarecrow popcorn game. You have 1 minute. Vote now. Oh yeah, and thank you all for the supports. Excuse me, we got Refactor with the 22 months. Thank you very much. Pablo with 100 bits. No more than 2 hours, but it has to be because I have work to do. Illusion Ray, thank you very much for that Prime sub. Welcome to the community. Jellywoot, thank you for the 21 months. GK Beat with the 3 months, and Julian with 100 bits. Thank you all very much. The first one is not clear how you incorporate all the words. Well, we find a way. Like, I could literally just add a picture of a bottle of water to the page, and that counts. Like, the use of these suggestions is totally up to my interpretation. So we'll find a way. We'll definitely find a way. We could also, like, I don't know, base the ratings on number of bottles of water you would need to stay quenched when eating that popcorn, given the amount of salt in that popcorn. I don't know. We haven't decided yet, so I'll probably throw it to chat to vote on what we're going to use to build the thing. And you can't really web scrape without a backend. Web scrape without a backend because most websites have a CORS policy that's not going to let a front end make a request to them. So, which is why you typically need a backend. Okay. It looks like the popcorn recipe book has won. I appreciate you all for voting with what I wanted to do. So that's what we're doing. We're building a popcorn recipe book. So first of all, we need to web scrape some popcorn recipes. I think I want like at least 20 recipes. So we'll see, but that's going to be our first step. We're going to write a web scraper. We're going to figure out what sites have the best popcorn recipes, and we'll scrape them. I'll likely just store them in a static file, so that way this thing doesn't need a running backend. So we'll write a web scrape script. It's going to get a bunch of recipes, and then we can use it in the app. I kind of do want like a page flip animation. So like, there's a lot of recipe websites, and they're just websites. But it would be cool if this does actually look like a book of recipes. And we'll need to find our mascot, the Scarecrow. So the Scarecrow is going to be the theme for the whole recipe book that we make. He'll probably have little quips and quotes about the recipes. So yeah. Display a recipe, flip page to next recipe. Cool. And then we'll figure out what to do with the water and yerba mate later on. All right, this is our app. Let's build the thing. First of all, let's just do some web scraping. So we're not even going to worry about a front end yet. We're going to write some code that scrapes recipes from some website. And this is going to be a node.js app, but it's just going to run locally. I'm going to run it once. It's going to generate a JSON file, and then I can use that JSON file in my front end. So this is my nice little node app. It's got a package.json. I'm going to install Cheerio, which is a tool that lets us pull elements out of an HTML string. And then I'm going to install Axios so that I can make HTTP requests. And that should be all we need for that. Great. Now let's find a website. We found all recipes. Let's just search for popcorn recipes, see what else we can find. So there's Food Network, all recipes, Spruce Eats. Wait, popcorn.gg or popcorn.org? It's literally just a bunch of popcorn recipes. They have so many. I mean, honestly, I kind of want to use theirs. And we can credit them and just say the recipes are from popcorn.org. So when you're web scraping, it is important to talk about the potential legality of what you're doing. In our scenario, we're just getting recipes. Like this, we're not doing anything too crazy, but still, we should probably look at this website's terms of service and see what they say we can do with the recipes. Mainly because they're like a .org. It seems like they're not exactly like a corporation or something like that, which makes me think they'd be okay with us getting their recipes. But this would be an interesting scraper because you can see there's these recipes, but then when you click on them, that opens up a specific page, and then that page has the ingredients, directions, and nutrition facts. This is great, actually. I'm curious if they have any sort of API already. Let's see. There aren't any XHR requests that are made when the page goes. It's just completely statically rendered. Like if we search the source for like cheesy popcorn, you can see it's literally an HTML element. So we would write code that like pulls that out. Let's see if they have a terms of service. Like what can we do with your popcorn.org, or with your recipes? The popcorn board. So the popcorn board is made up of popcorn companies who are responsible for getting that little seed to you in whatever form you choose. That's actually really interesting. It reminds me of like the Got Milk campaign, because Got Milk is a very generic term, but it was paid for by like the dairy board. So all like dairy farmers or whatever got together and like, hey, we should make an ad. And so I guess this is corn farmers that got together to promote popcorn. Let's see if they have a terms of service. They have a privacy policy. I don't know. Overall, I like this website because the recipes look nice and clean, and they have nutrition facts. So I kind of want to just pull recipes from this website. And we'll absolutely say that these recipes are from popcorn.org. But let's look at their privacy policy. It doesn't look like they have a terms of service. Thank you, Macaroni. Can you tell me where you found that? All materials. Yeah, so robots.txt is typically what like a bot would look at to see what's accessible. I think their site's really slow. I think everyone is going to popcorn.org right now because their site is so slow. Media kit? Where's the media kit? You can post a link in chat. Cool. So at this point, I don't think we can scrape their website because everyone's going there and we've taken it down. So if you're watching the stream and you're a nice person, leave their website so that I can use it. Because if not, we're gonna have to find. Yeah, it's an unintentional. Like it's not like on Reddit they call it the hug of death, where like a site gets shared on Reddit and then a bunch of people go there. Okay, so we've got the media kit. It's fine. It's fine. And then what Macaroni was saying, all materials on our website. Looks like I got popcorn GIFs too. Logo and usage guidelines. All materials on our website or social media outlets may be used for editorial or educational purposes. We ask that you credit the popcorn board and they add a link back to our site if you're sharing them on your website. You may not use our content in our own advertising or packaging. That's just about the logo, though. Here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna attempt to scrape this thing, and I'm gonna link back to their site. I'm gonna say this is where I got all of the information. But if they send like a cease and desist or something like that, I'll just pull it down. I'll pull the Git repo down. No issue at all there. Okay, so we're gonna do it. This is who we're gonna scrape. It seems nice because it's like not some other recipe website. It's like literally just for popcorn. So this is what we're gonna scrape. And specifically, we want to start here. See all recipes. And right now, I mean, this is This is a lot of recipes. So you've got 26 different pages. And then, oh, well, I guess every letter doesn't necessarily have recipes. Oh, well. We'll scrape the first page. See what that gets us. Okay. Yeah, it lagged for a second when 100 people all went there at the same time. Okay, so we need a JavaScript file. We're going to bring in the file system module. So as we do our scraping, we'll write it to our own file system as a JSON file. We'll bring in that Cheerio library I mentioned, because that's going to let us actually pull the HTML elements out of the page. And then we're going to bring in Axios, because that's a nice and easy library to use to make HTTP requests. So we need a function, get recipe page. And then we pass in the page that we want, like A, B, C, D, etc. And then it needs to make a request. So we'll have let's call it the base URL. That's not it. We want this. Yeah, so category A. So that's our base URL. And then when we make a request, we're going to do a fetch to here, to the base URL. And on the end of it, we need to put the page that we want, like that. And I'm actually going to get rid of the trailing slash there so that the template string looks a little bit nicer. Great. And not fetch, Axios. So we're going to say our data equals await Axios to get that specific page. And then once we've got it, I'm just going to log it out. And let's see what we get. So for now, I'm just going to call this once with the letter A. So this should give us back the page that has all of the recipes with the letter A. Cool. There we go. So we got a bunch of HTML. That's a good sign. Now we actually want to start pulling stuff out. So if we look at the letter A, and let's just inspect this element so we can see what the elements look like. So it looks like this has article card on it. Yeah, so every single recipe link is within an element called article card. So we want a bunch of article cards. So we could do, first we need to load that HTML into Cheerio. So we can say $ equals Cheerio.load and pass in that HTML. So that's going to take that source HTML, load it into this jQuery-like thing, and now we can start querying it. So if I just do this and then article card, that should give me every element on the page that has that specific class. And then for each one, it has specifically what we want is like the name and the URL. So let's see what this element. This has article title link. So we want that. So we're going to get all the cards on the page. And then for each one, we get the index and the element. And then we'll get there. And then I'm just going to throw the element into another Cheerio selector. So that way I can select elements within that element. So this gives us each individual card. And then let's call it the title link is $element find. We want to find the element that has the class article title link. And then I'm going to throw this into a selector so that I can pull some things out of it. We want like an array of recipes that starts off empty. And then as we scrape each one, we're going to push it into that array. So we'll say push. We're going to push an object. It has a title, which is going to be this thing.text. We'll trim it to remove the extra space. And then it also has a URL, which is going to be this. And then we want the href attribute from it. And I'm just going to put a dot to make sure that we're grabbing a link that has that specific class on it. And then I think there's only one image in here. So let's just grab the image as well. Image URL. And we'll just do this. We want to find the image, grab the first one, and then grab the src attribute. Like that. Mom, pick me up. I'm going to explain everything I'm doing after I finish it. Okay, so no way this works first. Oh, it's going to work first try. Okay, so that looks at every element. That pulls out the title, the URL, and the image. And then for now, we're just going to log it out. Let's see what we get. Beautiful. First try. First try. Let's see some first try emotes in the chat. But ultimately, this is grabbing a lot more than I thought. Who said there's a bug? What's the bug? Somebody told me that there's a bug. Where's the bug? Regardless, as you can see, oh yeah. I mean, that's not a bug. We just got to add some more code. But what we did is we pulled the source code. We grabbed all the elements within each element. So we have the title, we have the given URL, and then we have the image itself. But yeah, like someone was mentioning, who said it? I'll give them credit. Cool Pants said, who else? Well, the JP said there's a bug too. This website uses .NET Nuke, like on the back end, you mean? But yeah, so what we need to do is we need to put the base URL onto the image, which is easy enough. So we can do that right. Oh, that's why. Because I did /page. Yeah. You're totally right. I should have done this. But actually, I think that's better because that just gives me them all at once. I thought that by default, we were just getting the letter A. But no, this page gives us literally every single recipe. I think in alphabetical order. Yeah, because there's no U, there's no V, there's no W. I guess there is W, but do we get W on this page? Like if I search for white chocolate, I'm just gonna go with the main. We don't even care about the pages. We just get one page. So we'll say get recipes, and then that just makes a request to the all recipes page, which is fine. That's totally fine. Cool. So that's what we were doing. Perfect. Now, this is the part. Oh, we didn't update the image URL. Yeah, so the image URL actually needs to be itself with the base URL in there. So popcorn www popcorn.org/ that image URL. Like that. Okay. Is just Axios the same as Axios.get? If you, I guess so. Yeah, I messed that up. Usually I do Axios.get, but it looks like by default, if you just pass in the URL, it automatically does a get. I'm going to change it to this because this is more clear, because in other scenarios, you might do like Axios.post or whatever else. So that's great. At this point, we have the image, the title, and the URL. Now we need to do a little bit more scraping because we need to grab all of the details of each individual recipe. This is something that definitely could bring their website down because as you can see, there are over 100 recipes, and I don't want my code making 100 requests to their website all at one time because that would be bad. As we saw earlier when that happened, it made their site really slow. So the code that I'm going to write is going to pretend like it's a human. It's going to get the first recipe, and then it's going to wait 3, 4, 5 seconds, and then it's going to get the next recipe, and then it's going to wait 3 or 4 or 5 seconds. And if we let that run for 10 minutes, eventually we'll have all of the recipes. So that's what I'm going to do next. Yeah, and you're totally right, SQL Gortster. We don't need a slash right there. Because the image URL already includes a slash. Okay, so now that we have all of the recipes, I'm going to do this. I'm going to say await promise.all, and we want to map over each individual recipe. I go this. And then we'll need to make a secondary request. And right after we're done with all of that, we'll log the recipes out, but we'll also write them to the file system. So I'm going to do fs.writefile. We'll call this recipes.json. We want to stringify the recipes array. And this is UTF-8 encoding. We'll just do this synchronously because we're done at that point. And before we make requests to each individual one, we'll write it out just in case this fails for some reason. Yeah. I am going to promise all, and I'm going to show you what exactly I'm going to do to make it so that it doesn't just make over 100 requests all at once. Okay, before I write this code, so this code that has not been written yet is make a request to each recipe page to get ingredients and nutrition, facts, etc. So we still need to do that because right now we just have the top level information. I'm not going to worry about format. I guess we can format it. Why not? I wasn't going to worry about it because we're just going to use this in the front end, but regardless. All right, if you've been watching and you're like, what the heck just happened? I'm going to take a step back and explain what we're doing here. Ultimately, we are writing code that will programmatically go to this web page. It will look at each one of these divs. It's going to grab the title, the image, and then the link that it goes to. Because when you click the link, you get the full recipe. You get the ingredients, the directions, the nutrition facts, all that good stuff. What happens if we print the recipe? Oh, nice. I don't want to do that. So at this point, we have just looked at this top level page. And to do that, it's like a two-step process. So first of all, we make an HTTP request to that web page. And so this code is literally just making a request here. It's doing ultimately the exact same thing that the web browser is doing. It's requesting that HTML. Once we get that HTML back, we load it into this library called Cheerio because Cheerio lets us pick and choose elements out of it. If you open up the dev tools on a web page, you can kind of like run this similar code to see the kind of results that we would get. First of all, we can see if this page has jQuery, and it does. So since their web page already loaded jQuery, I can write code that looks very similar. So if I were to write the jQuery code on this web page that does this, you can see that it gives me back a jQuery collection with like each one of the elements. Also, you can see that they're like tracking my mouse movements for some reason, which is weird, but fine. But so that code that I just wrote, we're now executing that on the back end, like in this node.js code to do a very similar thing. So this .each is not a for each. This is just an each built into the Cheerio library, which is very similar to the thing built into jQuery. And so this basically lets us pass in a function that's going to run on every element it found with that class name on it. And so every element inside of it has a title, this thing. Every element inside of it has an image. So basically, we're looking at each one and then grabbing those three properties. And that's it. That's all we've done. It's not too complex. Is there meant to be a slash before image URL? No, and that was a bug I had earlier because the image URL that we pull out already has a slash on it. So we only want to put the base URL in front of it. Okay. At this point, we now need to make a request to each individual page. So I could write this in a separate function. I'm just going to write it in line. Now, should I? I'm going to write it in line just because I can. Okay, so now what we're doing is we're programmatically making requests to each individual recipe. So for example, we're making a request here. And in this case, it's actually just going to be recipe.url because we grabbed the URL earlier, and now we can just directly make a request against it. But recipe.url is going to be a value like this, Asian popcorn medley or whatever else. Now that we have the page, we need to get the data out. So we can see that in this element, the first list is the list of ingredients, and then the second list is the list of directions. I think that's how I'm going to scrape this thing, is like we'll pick this recipe details element, find the first UL, and then that is our, what do you call it? Those are our ingredients. Great. So what we want is the recipe details element. So we've made the request to the page. Now we need to load Cheerio with the HTML of that specific page. And then we can make the selector for the element with the class recipe details. And then we can select each individual thing. So I'm guessing that the first UL we find is the ingredients list. So if I do recipe details dot find a UL, this should be the ingredients list. And then for now, I'm just going to log it to make sure that we got it. And then the directions list is going to be the first OL, which is the ordered list right here. And then let's look at nutrition facts. Nutrition facts is just a p tag with breaks in it. And it is actually the second element with the class 6 columns. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to say nutrition facts is the recipe details. We want to find the element that has the class 6.columns. Not get. We want a specific index. We want the second one. What does index do? No, this. Search for a given element from among. No, that's not what I want. I mean, really, we could just do at 1 because it's the second one. There's probably a better way, but that should be fine. Okay, and let's see if it works. So we're going to log out the directions list, the nutrition facts, and the ingredients list. Cool. I'm going to call this page data. Now, I'm just testing, so I don't want to run this a bunch of times. And technically, this would be a good idea to pull it into a separate function because that would be easier to test. But I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to immediately exit the program after this runs once. So it's going to make a request to the first one, and then just like immediately exit. Yeah, and so the other thing I'm doing here is actually I don't want a map. I want to reduce because and where does that go? So reduce is there because I want to run these one at a time. So basically, what this reduce is going to do is it has that array of recipes, and so for the first one, it's going to make the HTTP requests, and for all of the other ones, they are waiting on the promise before them to complete. Missing a wait on line 25. Thank you. Yeah, we need an await right there. So this reduce here is basically like a promise waterfall. So instead of doing all of them all at once, it's going to do one at a time and wait for the previous one to finish. So if I've done this correctly, we should only see the information for one recipe. Let's see. Object is not iterable. Yeah, you're right. We don't promise all this. We just await it. That was easy. So it worked. It worked. So we got the Asian popcorn medley. We came across Asian popcorn medley. We pulled out the ingredients, we pulled out the directions, and then we pulled out the nutrition facts. This is crazy easy. I noticed right here when it pulled the nutrition facts, it also pulled the title. I don't want that. I just want the nutrition facts themselves. So I'm going to pull that into a p tag. The other thing is because those things are unordered lists and OLs and ordered lists, I can turn them into an array of strings, which will be nice for the representation. So I wonder if there's an easy way to do that. So find the ULLI. And then we can map it. We don't really want to even map it. We'll just each it, because a map will return the element itself. So I could have something like ingredients. It starts off as an empty array. And then for every list item in the unordered list, we'll push a value into the ingredients list. So we're going to push this element .text.trim. So that's going to grab each individual ingredient, and now we have an array of ingredients, which will be nice. Great. Now we want to do like the exact same thing with the recipe details. Again, if I cared, I would refactor this and reuse the code, but I don't care. So this is directions. And so for each one here, we're going to push that into the directions list. This one is a little bit tricky, the nutrition facts. Because it doesn't use a list, it just has line breaks in it. So can anyone think a sort of first try for test pass refactoring? Can anyone think of an easy way to scrape this? So yeah, we could split on new line. Yeah, actually, let's do that. So if we just pull the text itself, so we grab nutrition facts.text, and then we split on new line. That should give us an array of each individual nutrition fact. All right, let's see. Wow. So, well, actually, no, it didn't work for nutrition facts, but it worked. It worked for ingredients. So this is awesome. We have an array of ingredients. It worked for directions. We have an array of directions. Fantastic. But this didn't work. /m represents a mew line, a line of cats. Actually, yeah, you're totally right. Instead of doing text, I should grab the HTML, and then that would let me split on BR, like you're mentioning. So if I grab the HTML source and then split on this, that should give me an array. I think it's going to be messy because each item is going to have space on each side of it, but I think that's more of what we want. How is this? No, oh, it didn't find it. Yeah, you're totally right. That is why. That is why. So actually, it probably would have worked with text. Let's try with text. Yeah, thank you, Plot, for that. But basically, before I was only selecting the 6 columns element and then grabbing the first one. But now I'm selecting the 6 columns element paragraph. And I think it's the only paragraph. Yeah, so that actually will only select, even though there's another element with 6 columns, it's only going to select this one, which is nice. So this should do it. And then now we can split on a new line. All right, this is the winner. Nice. Nice. Is there a reliable way to tell which new line character was used? You could take the text and then like get the actual encoding. Other than that, I don't. You'd have to inspect it somehow. But when you see the actual encoding, you will see if there's a /n/r. Cool. So at this point, we figured out how to get the info for a single page. Let's see, is there anything else on this page that we want? Oh, it has tags. We could grab the tags. Oh, and it has a description. We didn't get the description. Let's grab this. Well, that's unfortunate. That's not going to be as easy because the description is just in a p tag. There's no class on it. But what we could do is we could say find the h1 on the page. And then grab the second p tag that is a sibling of it. So let's do that. I'm going to try to figure out the CSS for that. So CSS, second sibling of type. The p tag before yields, but yields itself is just a strong, and it's actually like 2 p tags before that. I think that's it, plot plus p. Grab the first P that is not empty. That's a way better plan. I like that. Let's do that. Okay, so this is, I don't think this is within the, yeah, so recipe details is a separate element. That's this. We need this element. I mean, I don't think there are any other P tags aside from that. So like if we grab all p tags on the page, is the first one the description? Well, the first non-empty one is, yeah, that's what we're going to do. So with the page itself, I now want to find all p tags. And the reason I hesitate is because I want to stop searching the moment I find one that has text inside of it. So we'll say let description equal an empty string. And then I'm going to p not empty. And then we want the first one. How do you get the first... would you just put like nth child on there? If we can do it with just CSS, I'm down. I'm all for it. But if not, we can just iterate. All right, Pablo has it. First of type. So we want to find the first non-empty p tag. We want to find its text, and we want to trim it. That would be insane if this works. Insane. Okay, so let's just see if we get it. And actually, at this point, we can start making a little object. So we can say recipe dot ingredients equals this. Recipe dot directions equals this. Recipe dot nutrition equals this. and then recipe.description equals the description. And at this point, we just log the whole thing. All right, let's see. Well, that didn't work. That didn't work. So it got the other stuff, but description now has everything. The description has ingredients and all that. That's not good. Okay. Just for the sake of time, I'm going to do it the way that I was initially planning to do it, which is we're going to literally iterate over every single p tag, and the first one we find, we're just going to break out. And actually, that we can also get the yields value. So paragraphs is equal to that, and then we'll just have for I equals 0, well, I is less than paragraphs, I plus equals 1. We're going to get the element, which is paragraphs at that index. We're going to make it a jQuery element, and we'll say if element.text. Actually, we'll put the text in a variable. Trim it. If it has a value, and description does not have a value, then description is equal to that value. Otherwise, if it has a value and yields, which we don't have yet, doesn't have a value. I probably shouldn't use the word yield. But it's fine. And yields doesn't have a value, then yields equals that text, and we break out of the loop. That's it. So this is going to find the first paragraph that has text in it, which is going to be this one, and then it's going to look, and the next one it finds has the word yield in it, and then we're done. Use yield. What could go wrong? Yeah, so the reason why I didn't name this variable yield is because yield is a reserved keyword. Cool. The popcorn.org is the website. Okay, that should do it. So now we got the description and yields. All right, first try. This is JavaScript. We're writing JavaScript today. Nice. Nice, look at that. And actually, we can just replace the this text on yields like this with nothing. All right, one more time. And then we'll let it run and grab all the recipes. Beautiful. Look at that. We've got the title, URL, image, ingredients, directions, nutrition, description, and how many that it yields. This is great. Now at this point, we need to get all of the recipes. So that's where we don't exit, we just keep getting them. And so basically what we've done is we get an array of recipes that has the top level titles, or top level values like title URL and image URL, and then we're making a request to each individual recipe page to get all of its information, which is what this is doing. But the key here is now instead of exiting, we're going to wait 5 seconds before getting the next recipe. Is that timeout what I want? Yeah, I think it is. This is what I want. I want to wait a new promise. That promise has a resolve, and then we're going to set timeout that will resolve in 5 seconds. So we're going to request a page, scrape it, wait 5 seconds, request the next page. Great. That should be fine. We should already have a recipes.json. We do. So yeah, you can see by default, it has all the top level information, and then as it scrapes each one, it's adding more information to the data that ultimately makes up this file. The last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to throw this in a try catch, because if it fails, I don't want to lose all the recipes that I've already scraped. Actually, I'm going to do this. I'm going to try catch an individual page, because then it can move on to the next one. Like this. Error getting recipe. We'll throw in error.message and recipe.title. Okay, and also I'm going to update the recipes JSON after every single recipe. All right, now is the point where we go grab some yerba mate while this runs. So getting Asian popcorn medley, great. Wait 5 seconds. Getting cheesy popcorn. Wait 5 seconds. So now's the time to drink some coffee or some tea. So I'll be right back. You all can watch this run. Thrilling. Yeah, I mean, technically I didn't have to wait 5 seconds, but I think it's the nice thing to do. So we don't bring their server down. That's really cool to hear, S.Code. I'm a professional dev and I haven't drank any caffeine for over 2 years. I think if I could reduce my dependency on caffeine, I would. But yeah. I'll take a look when I'm done, Ryan. Yeah, and I should be done pretty soon. Okay. So this is running in the background. We're going to let this run, but I can remind you all what we're actually doing here. So this is coding improv. At the beginning of the stream, we got a bunch of suggestions, and ultimately, based on these suggestions, we decided we're going to just build a popcorn recipe book. And part of that is to get some popcorn recipes. So right now, we're scraping all the popcorn recipes from popcorn.org, which is kind of interesting because popcorn.org is an organization where like corn farmers or people that or companies that make popcorn have all gotten together to basically advertise popcorn. It's very interesting. But right now, our code is gradually scraping all the recipes. We're going to let that run in the background. I'm going to go ahead and say that we're using yerba mate because we're drinking tea while it's doing the web scraping. So that suggestion is accounted for. Let's start building a web page. And what's nice is in the meantime, we actually have some recipes to work with because as we do the scraping, this file is just getting more and more data. So right now, it has all those recipes we saw in the terminal. It has their directions, nutrition facts, all that good stuff. But then for the ones near the bottom, it only has those properties. But eventually, as we let it run, it's going to get more and more data. Okay, let's build a page. Is this legal? We found on the Popcorn website, they have a media section that says you can use the stuff on their site. You just have to link back to them. And we're absolutely going to link back to them because they got a lot of cool recipes. What's the difference between web scraping and web crawling? So web scraping is typically you're pulling data out of web pages, whereas web crawling is a term associated with like search engines, where they crawl the web to see what web pages exist and what web pages link to each other, to give you like search results and stuff like that. Okay. At this point, we need to make a book. We're going to make a book on the page that actually does like a nice page turn animation. Let's see what we can find on the web for that. I want like a page turn animation. Realistic flip animation in JavaScript. Wow. Wow. I don't like that their website doesn't have syntax highlighting. Look at that. So here's the thing. If you make a website like this, it's not very usable because the entire page is like tilted like this. I don't want that. I want the page to be, you know, like a regular web page, but with a nice little page turn animation on it. Let's see what you got, American 2050. Or not you. Let's see what you found. Wow. This is perfect. But this is using Tween Light. What's up, the artifacts? Happy Friday to you as well. I don't like the JavaScript that they're using. Let's see if we can find something that's pure CSS. Great CSS page transitions that you can use today on your website. XML HTTP request is asynchronous, but you can actually make it synchronous. There's a way to do a XML HTTP request, but make it block the page until it completes. Yeah, so I guess if we look at the settings for this, is it pulling in a library? Yeah, it's pulling in Tween Max, which is from the Greensock animation project, I believe. Yeah. I'll keep this page open. It just looks like a lot of code that I don't necessarily know how I'm going to integrate. So I'm gonna try to find something that looks simpler. And if we can't find something simpler, we'll go back to this. CSS, we'll say pure CSS page flip animation. Yeah, you technically could make a synchronous network call. Yeah, it's actually really interesting. If you look up XML HTTP request, and actually let's see how our little scrape bot is doing. They're doing pretty well. They haven't failed yet. I believe we can look at the... I'm pretty sure you can do it synchronously. There's a property on there, I believe, that makes it synchronous. I don't know what it is, though. Okay, page flip animation demo. Wow. It's amazing. But what if I want multiple pages yet? That's really cool. Let's see how they do it. You got a div. That's a lot of divs. Translate and rotate. Yeah, that's what I'm worried about, Mark Boots, is like, that's just 2 pages. We need to be able to flip 50 pages, which, I mean, you could probably make it work because you basically just replace the content, but let's see. It's magic. Whoa. Whoa. I mean, that's nice, but I want actual content on the page. Yeah, that's that same one we were looking at earlier. Here we go. David Walsh usually has some pretty good stuff. Let's see what he's got. Let's see the demo. I mean, like, it's not as cool looking as like a page turning, but we could do something like this. Where like you flip to the next page, you see that animation, we change the content behind it. So when you go to the next page or the previous page, it, you know, turn JavaScript, turn JS. Thank you all for the links, by the way. Wow. This is what we want. This is absolutely what we want. Let's see how they do it. It's using turn. Nice. Is this actually using turn.js? Turn.me. It is. It's using turn.js. This is, you know, it took us a few minutes, but we found something that looks very promising. So let's use it. It's jQuery, which is fine. Can you use it without jQuery? I haven't used jQuery on stream almost like ever, or like it's been 3 years if I have. It's fine. We'll just use jQuery. That's it. And that already answers the question, how are we going to build this thing? We're going to build it using vanilla JavaScript and jQuery. All right. So we're going to make a folder called recipe book. Inside of there, we'll make an index.html. Let's just check on our little scrape bot. It's going. It's making progress. I mean, so this backend code isn't technically jQuery. It's Cheerio. Like we haven't built web pages with jQuery on this channel. Yeah. All right. Let's just get like one recipe rendered on the page and then see if we can flip to the next recipe. If we look at this example, they have, is it just multiple pages? Div class page. Div class page. Yeah, so they just created a bunch of divs with a class of page. So we're going to have a main element, and inside of that we'll have a div. This will have a class of book. And then we'll use JavaScript to put a bunch of pages into this book. We're actually going to give this an ID of book. Okay, we need to load jQuery into our page. jQuery 1.3 or above. So I'm just going to go to JS deliver and get ourselves a jQuery CDN. I mean, I guess technically this CodePen uses one, right? Yeah. 3.3.1. Is that the latest? Regardless, so we have a script. We're going to pull in jQuery. What's wrong with jQuery? I would prefer to build this thing with like a front-end framework. Technically, we could try to integrate the two. We would still have to use jQuery for that library, the turn.js library, but we would need to write custom components that actually have direct access to the DOM, which is harder to do. Not straightforward. It's not hard. It's just not straightforward. It's not what you normally do, like in Vue.js or in like React or Angular or anything like that. Okay. Then we've got turn.js, which we're going to bring in here. Great. And then we need our own JavaScript. We're just going to call this app.js. And we'll try to get some stuff going. So in here, we'll have app.js. For now, I'm just going to copy paste the current recipes.json, which likely has quite a few recipes in it. And then on this page, we'll just have a load function. And that is going to make a request against itself for recipes.json. JSON is recipes.json, and then we should be able to log them out. Great. So when the page loads, we'll call load. This thing has a reference to that. Great. So now I have a little front-end web page. We're going to serve it up with a static file server. So I'm going to use light server for that. If we look at the console, 207 recipes. That's great. It made a request for the local JSON file, and it got back all of the recipes. So that's great. So we now want to make a recipe that, or have a div that has all of that information, and then see if we can page turn it. So let's say JSON for each recipe. We want to add an element to the page. So we're going to get a reference to the book element. It's just going to be jQuery element with ID book, like that. And then we want to append a div to it. So we'll say, is that how jQuery works? Is this how jQuery works? Dot append, dot add, dot insert. That's very non-performant. Listen, I actually don't have to do it all at once. I could do it. I mean, I can do it all at once. I could say something like this. And then for each recipe, we're going to add a nice little div that has a class of page. And then this will have like a little h2 that has recipe.title, and then a little paragraph that has recipe.description. Great. And then after I've built up that HTML string, I can say book.append. Nobody told me if append is a valid thing. Let's see if this works. It works. Great. So we've got a bunch of elements on the page. Great. As you can see, these haven't finished scraping yet because they're still undefined. These all have the class of page. And now we need to do this this thing. So after they've all been loaded, we then we say, let's do it. Oh, and this is doing element with the ID of flipbook. So if we do the element with ID of book, will this work? Oh, nice. So it puts them all in one place. Look at that. That is so, like, we'll adjust this. We'll make it look good. But that's literally all we needed. That's literally all we needed. We just gotta adjust the CSS now. Yeah. So Autoperte is saying, could this be a security issue? If recipes.json was coming from an unreliable source or an unknown source, or like a source that potentially has user provided input, then yes, this could be a security risk, because by directly putting the values in the HTML string here, we would be at risk to cross-site scripting. However, I made this file. I made recipes.json. No one else is going to be able to change it. And so there's really no way to do a cross-site scripting attack into that element. Okay, at this point, all we got to do is add some styles. So this is great. Let's just do a styles.css. And first of all, let's make the body margin 0. Padding 0. Actually, I'm going to do like a full reset. I'm going to say, I'm not going to do a full reset because turn.js might do something interesting. But I am going to make the body a flexbox with justify content center and align items center. And it's going to have a width of 100 view width and a height of 100 view height and overflow hidden. So it's going to take up the whole page. And then our book is going to be centered within that. And then each page will have a background of the color white. So hopefully that prevents the things from looking like they're overlapping. And then the whole thing will have a font family for now of Courier New. Let's see what happens. Nothing happens because I need to add the CSS. So over here, we need to add a little link, styles.css. You know, Comic Sans came to mind. The moment I said that. But look at this. Look at this. It's too easy. It's literally too easy. I'm amazed. This library is great. Yeah, so at this point, it's just a matter of styles and content. We add the images, we add the ingredients and all that stuff. Let's look at turn.js to see what kind of options they have. Like, what if I only want one page at a time? Let's look at it. Page. Their website is broken. That's unfortunate. So right now, the way we have it set up is we give it a width and a height. I mean, I don't know if pages like that is an option. I might have to go to the Wayback Machine to look at this documentation. GitHub is probably a better place. Let's see if it's on GitHub. It seems like this library was created before the days of GitHub. Yeah, the website is copyright 2012. So, oh yeah, they do have a GitHub though. They do have a GitHub. Yeah, it's crazy. The last time this was updated was 2013, but does it need to be updated? Thank you, Kate Spicer. We want display single. Let's see if I can find that in here. Full documentation? Great. It doesn't take me to the website. Display property. Great. Display 1. Display single, like that. Nice. But oh. And then I can turn the page here. Can I go back though? I can. But I don't see the option. So here's one thing I need to do is the element itself needs some sort of border or outline. For now, we'll just do 2 pixel solid black. But that way, that way we know where we can turn the page from. I'm curious what they're doing here. So if it still is, so they put it into a bunch of other elements. So what we want to actually style, I think, is the turn page wrapper. Let's see what that does for us. Yeah, maybe we want box sizing border box. Let's see. Yes. Gosh. And actually, that shows you the benefit of doing this on pretty much every page you build. Because if you don't have box sizing border box, then the border is not included in the calculation of the width of the element, something like that, right? And then if you enable it, then it's all one thing. But that's cool, because now I know where I can hover. Well, I can't go back, but here I can go forward, and here I can go back. Nice. You can also do it from the top, or do it from the left. Wow, this is so cool. Also, they probably have animation properties, like how long it takes to go to the next page. And I want to decrease that. Acceleration. No, that's hardware acceleration mode. Cool. The other thing I'm going to do is when it loads, we're going to set the height and the width. Duration, is that it? That's it. Default is 600. We're going to go higher. Make it like really, really dramatic page turn. Like you really know the page is turning. Yeah, just like that. Oh, that's great. The other thing is the width and the height. So I'm going to have this calculated based on when the page loads. So I think I can do like window dot, is it client height? Or is that for elements? Inner height. Inner width divided by 90. So 90% width and 90% height. Maybe I do want client height. Window dot inner width 460. Multiply, not divide. Thank you, Ss. You're totally right. So we want 90% of both of those things, which is what will give us that. Maybe. Oh. Wait. Times 0.9. Times 0.9. Or divide by 9, right? Yeah, times 0.9. Oof, we'll get there. Yes, beautiful. But what that means is if you were to load this site on mobile, like it breaks if you like resize or change your screen size. I'm not going to worry about that. But if you load the site on mobile, it will fit your screen size. Also, does it work? Oh, on mobile? Look what you can do on mobile. My goodness. Wait. Can you do that not on mobile too? I'm guessing you can. Wow. Do they have a resize function? I'm just going to go ahead and implement when the page changes. So here's what we're going to do. We'll say document, add event listener, or window, add event listener for resize. And then whenever the page is resized, we can do this. And then we use these values. Hello, Ability. I would say you're pretty late. I've been live for about an hour and 50 minutes. And I gotta leave soon, so. Look at this. Look at this. So what's funny is, like, I'm just using a library. I didn't code this stuff myself. I'm literally just calling functions in a library, but it's still pretty cool. It's still really cool. Okay. Instead of a border, let's actually add some box shadow so it looks like it has some depth. There was a depth property that we specified. Elevation. We're creating a recipe book. Yeah. So right now, let's see if our... Oh, look at that. our little scrape bot is done. So we have all the recipes. So basically, we scraped a website to get a bunch of popcorn recipes, and now we're adding them into a web page as a little book. It looks like that elevation property isn't even a thing. So I'm gonna get rid of it. And then in the CSS, I want some kind of box shadow. Can someone give me a box shadow to make that book look 3D? Make that book look like it's sitting on a page or sitting on a desk or something like that. And actually, let's find a nice like wooden background. Like actually, I want like a big version of that image, and I'm just going to use it as the background for the whole page. And so it's like that book is sitting on this. Let's just check out Pexels. Wood table. Yeah, something like this. That's the one. Great. Background. That. Center. Contain. Is that how that works? Download what? Okay. Rosbell has given us a box shadow. Let's see what you got. That didn't work. Nothing. Background position center. And actually, let's lower the size of the page percent. We're gonna set that to 0.8 now. And everywhere I'm using 0.9, we use page percent. So it's a little bit smaller. Do I need that slash in there, MPS? I know I could look. I probably should just look this up. No repeat. Cover. Slash center? There's got to be a way, right? CSS. Background image. Full screen. Background image. How to create a full page image with CSS. See, they put it in separate properties. I was just trying to put it in one property. Oh, and it's an image. I can't copy paste the code. What is this? So here's what we do. Background URL is that. We have background size. Cover. Great. We have background position. Center. And then why is this complaining? Background image. All right, and I don't think we need the quotes in here. I'm just going to remove them. Ta-da! We got it. Let's make sure we quote all of our sources. References. Background image from here. recipes from here, popcorn.org. It's beautiful. Yeah, I like it. Improv is short for improvisation, meaning things are not planned. We come up with things on the spot. So that's why I call this coding improv, because everything we're doing we came up with on the spot. When I started the stream, I did not know we were going to be building a popcorn recipe book. But here we are. Okay. Has anybody given me a good box shadow? That one didn't seem to work. Yeah, we have to add more stuff to the recipe, of course. But I'm just trying to get the overall look of the book and everything good to go. I like a little bit of border, like very subtle border radius. Like two pixels of border radius. Like that. I mean, we could go like 10. I mean yeah. Shadows. Who's Brum? Who did that? Box shadow generator. I'm gonna try this. We'll see what happens. And then we shouldn't have to do that. Use Tailwind? That's not the answer to our problems. I just want this one. How do I get this one? This. I feel like it's getting clipped. Like we need a wrapper for the wrapper. I'm not gonna worry about it. I'm actually not gonna worry about it. Let's just work on the actual recipe itself. So add a little bit of padding. Great. Let's do a 2-column layout. So we have the title, the description, then we'll have a div that has 2 divs inside of it. The left-hand side is going to have all of the nutrition facts and info and all that stuff, and then the right-hand side is just going to have an image. So right here we'll have an image. The source is going to be recipe.image, and the alt text is going to be recipe .title. Great. And then right here we'll have an unordered list. And then we need to iterate over. Look, isn't this funny? We're not in React, but we're gonna do a map. We're gonna do recipe.ingredients. We're gonna map over each one. Actually, yeah. We map over each one. That gives us the ingredient. And then from here, we just want to return a little string that is a list item that has the ingredient inside of it, like that. And then we've mapped over all of these. This is not Vue. This is jQuery. We're using jQuery right now. I mean, it's jQuery combined with JavaScript, like vanilla JavaScript, to give us like this maps and stuff like that. But we are going to throw an H3 in here that says ingredients. I don't need that to be a template. And then below the ingredients, we're going to have the directions. And then below the directions, we're going to have the nutrition facts. I guess we also have how much it yields. And then we'll give this div a class of recipe info. And we'll give this div a class of left, and this div a class of right. There's no recipe author, I don't think. They're all from this same website. And so one thing we do need to add is just a link back to the popcorn.org, and we'll probably just put that at the bottom of the page. Okay, so now recipe info will just be display flex. It's actually all we need. Look at that. However, it does not scroll. So we're going to need to greatly reduce the font size. Unfortunately, like there really is no way, I don't think, to be able to scroll within this book element. Do it using a template tag. We would still have to do like a find and replace with a template tag, or we'd have to bring in a templating library like handlebars or something like that. Yeah, so the page turn thingy has display or overflow hidden. I guess the other issue here though is like the page turn thingy isn't always in like a reliable location. Also though, the image isn't showing up. We want to use the right property. And let's just say the recipe image has a width of 100%, and right and left have a width of 50%. Like that. I guess the weird thing we could do is we could just make the font size really small, or like based on the view height. It's tiny. I mean, in terms of usability, this is horrible, absolutely horrible. But it does show everything. And I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. Like this. Yeah, that's the tricky part. Look where it puts the. I don't want to add a scroll because I feel like it messes up the page turn library. Oh yeah, you're right. We should add padding within the left and right container. Here's the thing. Sometimes it goes out. Maybe we put the nutrition facts below the image. like that. Why are we getting this behavior? This like, why are these showing up in weird places? Let me look at what CSS I have. Like, oh, I think the border radius messed with it. Maybe not. Remove the padding. Oh yeah, I think you're right. That's what messed up. Yeah, that's what messed up these. Okay. Great. So we're back to something that's actually usable, and then now we can add padding within the given elements. Let's add an info section, and that will also have similar padding. And so when we're creating the element, this will be in a div class info. Great. 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 This is fine. You can't really read it, and then like watch what happens. Yeah, when you try to load it on like a phone, it's gonna do this. I'm okay with that. Yeah, we also need a table of contents. Also, it would be much more useful if we could actually like search for recipes. Look, this is fine. I realize there's a lot of other stuff we could do here, but I have to go. I've already been here too long, and I'm pretty excited about what we built. So if you're just joining us or you don't realize what we've done, we scraped all of the recipes from popcorn.org. So last thing we need to do is to definitely link back to this website and say this is where we got all of the recipes from. We found this turn.js library. We smacked the data together with that library, and now we got ourselves a little book. And we did it all in like an hour and a half. So I'm pretty proud of that. Ooh, this one doesn't have any nutrition facts. But oh wait, does that use Bombay seasoning? Bombay popcorn, hot wasabi, and Cajun popcorn. That sounds good. That sounds really good. Brown sugar popcorn lollipops. Wow. Yeah, no, these sound great. Like, here's the thing. I eat a lot of popcorn. And I actually use like ranch seasoning on my popcorn. It makes it taste like Cool Ranch Doritos. So just the idea of really cool stuff that you can add to your popcorn, I am all about. All right, let's find where we were earlier. And the Primogen, what's up, dude? Thank you for the raid. Welcome in. We're gonna be ending pretty soon, but I'll show you what we're working on. Do I want the logo? I think I just want this. Cool. But welcome in, friends. Welcome to the coding garden. You've arrived at what we call coding improv. So improvisational coding. At the beginning of the stream, we got several suggestions from Twitch chat. And what we've been doing is using all of those suggestions to build some sort of application. So we got these suggested at the beginning, and ultimately what we decided on building based on these suggestions. Wait, am I getting double rated? No. I'm pretty sure my overlays are messed up. And there's one of them that is like the other one, but regardless, thank you all for the raid, and thanks for being here. So we got a bunch of suggestions at the start of the stream. Yerba mate is a kind of drink. This is a specific brand of yerba mate, but it's a tea. And this is one that I like to drink. But so we got grease and popcorn accounted for because the first thing we did was we actually wrote a web scraper. So we wrote some scraping code that went out to popcorn.org and scraped every single recipe that they have on their website. And we put all of that into a recipe.json file. And it's actually really funny and interesting because popcorn.org is not just one organization. It's basically like all of the popcorn companies got together and decided it'd be a good idea to create an organization to promote popcorn, which is fine. So we wrote some scraping code that like goes and grabs every single one of their recipes. We have all the recipes here, and then we decided we're going to make a recipe book with it. And so we're actually using jQuery, which I haven't used in years, but we found this library called turn.js. Get turn. And it allows us to have like a book-like experience. So with very little code, what we now have is this beautiful recipe book where you can see the recipe, you can flip between the pages, and it's like a little digital recipe book. Now, I know what you're thinking. I can't read that text. I can't read that text either, and I don't really want to make a scroll box within the book. So I want all of the text to be visible, which is why I made the text super, super small. But edible popcorn party bowl? What? That sounds good. That sounds really good. So we're going to leave it at this. The code is open source. I'm about to push it to GitHub, so if you want to make it look better, feel free. The last thing we need to do, though, is we need to credit where we got all this stuff from. So on the page itself, I need to add a brought to you by popcorn.org. All recipes provided by popcorn.org. And we'll throw a little, I mean, I don't know if I want to put their logo on my website because that will make people think that my website's associated with them. Right? I don't want to do that. I'm just going to link here. Use the footer tag? Sure. We'll be semantic. And we're using Flexbox, so we need to change the flex direction on the body column. All right, this is it. That's all recipes provided by popcorn.org. I'm going to change that font color. Foot. Did I put foot? I put foot instead of footer. That's funny. But we're gonna, it still worked, which is hilarious. We're gonna make this white, like that. Cool. What's my origin story? I don't have the time to tell you right now, but I do have a ton of info on the frequently asked. I have to go. I'm over time right now. But if you check out the frequently asked questions, you can learn all about me. And specifically, there's one like how long have you been doing this? And there is my origin story. If you feel like reading it, thank you for being here. I appreciate you. Sorry that I can't go through that right now, but thank you for being here. All right. Is this it? Is this all we needed to do? I think technically we didn't account for water or Scarecrow, but here's what I'm going to do. Check this out. I'm going to look for an ASCII Scarecrow, and I'm going to put it in the source code of the web page. You know what? This is fine. I was like, I probably shouldn't be showing this on screen. Like, sometimes you can get some really weird ASCII art. But here's what we'll do. We'll throw this in the body. Look at that. Got ourselves a little Scarecrow. So that means we definitely got a Scarecrow in this app that we built. And then we didn't have any water. I mean, all of the suggestions are open to my interpretation. Perfect. This is it. This is a water bottle. So now when you look at the source of the page, you can see a Scarecrow and you can see a water bottle. And great. We've done it. Before I go, I will talk about the scraping code because some of you seemed like you were interested in it. So I'll show you what I did and how it worked. And then I gotta go, and then we'll do a raid. We'll keep the raid train going. Okay, but yeah, this is fun though. So now when you look at the source code of this website, you can see a scarecrow in a water bottle. All right, I'm gonna put this on the web using a thing called Surge, which is a nice little static site deployment tool. Popcorn recipes.surge.sh. Great. And this is not my IP address. This is the IP address of the server that I am deploying to. People always clip this. They always clip this and like, oh, we found this is not my IP. Cool. So you too can go to this website, find a bunch of popcorn recipes. Let me tell you how the scraping works, and then I gotta go. Okay. So we're on the internet. We're visiting a web page. We go to something like a page of all the recipes on this specific website. And you're like, hey, that's really cool data. I want that data. How can I get that data? Web scraping. web scraping. So basically what we did is we wrote code that programmatically made a request to this web page. And first of all, it got the data for every single one of these tiles on the page. So it got the image, it got the title, and it got the URL that recipe is located at. What's my relationship with my father? It's really good. My dad is great. He supported my love of punk rock and skateboarding. He's a very supportive dad. He's great. I love him. He's awesome. So we wrote code to grab each of these little cards. And at this point, we have a bunch of images and titles and links, but we need further information, right? Because for each one of these cards, we also need to go to this page and we need to grab the description, the yield, the list of ingredients, the nutrition facts, all of this stuff. So it's like a two-step process. It's not working in Safari. I don't care. I honestly don't care. Stop using Safari. Use Firefox. That's my answer to that. Cool. So if we look at my scraping code, basically what I did is I wrote like code that only needed to run once that then generated this recipes.json file. And then from there on out, my front end code is just using that JSON file. Like it doesn't need to make an API request at that point. My front end is just using this. So it's not working. You're not ESEP. Stop it. Yeah, I'll push this to GitHub right after this is done and you can look at the code. But basically, I programmatically do the thing that I just said I was doing. So we make a request to the page that has all of the recipes on it. We then find the element we find all the elements that have the class article card. Because if we were to look at the source of this web page, that specific element has a class of article card. And so basically, if we select every article card on the page, we can now dial into each one. We can grab its title, its image, and then we're good to go. So the first pass just gives us all of the images, titles, and links. And then comes the tricky part. We basically need to make a request to every single recipe to get the rest of the information. We need to get the description, the list of ingredients, etc. So what we do there is a nice little promise waterfall. So we do recipes, which is an array.reduce. And we're reducing over promises. So basically, each request for a recipe will wait for the previous one to complete. And so we make a request to the specific URL for that recipe. We do some fanciness to figure out where the description is and how much it yields is. And the reason we did this is like they didn't have very clear structure on their page. Like they basically just had a bunch of paragraph tags. So this code says find the first paragraph that is not empty. That's the description. And then the next paragraph after that that's not empty is how much this recipe yields. So that was fine. Pulling out the recipe ingredients and directions was super easy because they actually had them in unordered lists. So we were literally able to just iterate over every list item, push it into an array, good to go. And at this point, we have all the info. So that was actually running in the background for a while. And the other interesting part, and the part that you should keep in mind, is don't bombard a website with hundreds of requests all at once. So we made one request to their website every 5 seconds. So we made a request, we scraped it, we waited 5 seconds, and then we made the next request. But ultimately, we did that for like over 100 pages, and we just let this run in the background while we were coding on some other stuff. But yeah, all this code will be on GitHub. This is the Coding Improv Show, episode 17. We do weird stuff like this fairly often. Yeah. Do I think Puppeteer is a good way to do that? For this use case, no. And here's why. Their website, well, actually, I don't care about or need I don't need the page to actually render. And with something like Puppeteer or any sort of browser automation, it is literally visiting that web page, waiting for the DOM to load, waiting for the JavaScript to execute, and then it allows you to select elements. I don't need or care about any of that. All I care about is the actual HTML source code of the web page. So with an axios.get, that gives me the HTML source code, and then this library Cheerio is kind of like jQuery on the back end that lets me just select elements from the page. So I'm not actually emulating the page loading. So this is really fast. Like you could run this on a serverless function or something like that, and you wouldn't have to worry about it timing out because the browser needs to spin up and load the page and stuff like that. There are use cases where you might need to do something like fully load the web page, but this was not one of those cases. Yeah, and that's one of the cases I'm talking about. So axios.get wouldn't work on a page that itself uses JavaScript to load the data on the page. But I've talked about this in the past. So if you look at my videos on YouTube, if you just search for web scraping, I've done a lot of, or if you search for scrap, you'll find all the videos on web scraping. But specifically, if a web page does use JavaScript and all the content isn't there when you first load it, you can just find some undocumented APIs, and then you don't need Puppeteer either, because if you find their undocumented API, you can just use that instead of trying to scrape the web page. Yeah, so any page that's server-side rendered will definitely work with Cheerio. But if it's not, you can find an undocumented API, and that's actually what we did in this stream a while back. That one was a bit of a mess, but we figured it out. We looked at the network requests on the page. We figured where was making the request. We ultimately just found what we could make the request to. Axios is absolutely faster than Puppeteer because it doesn't have to do all of the stuff that Puppeteer does. And Axios and Puppeteer are two totally different things. They're the only things they do that are the same are HTTP requests. You don't really compare the two. Like Axios is purely for making get, post, put requests to endpoints, whereas Puppeteer is like a full browser automation thing. And browsers need to make HTTP requests, so that's what they have in common. Cool. What are we doing today? We're done. Thank you all for hanging out. This is it. I'm proud of what we built. Ultimately, it could use a lot of work. And here, I'll push it all to GitHub so you can see it. And you can go to this site here if you want to see what you have. It's not working on Chrome? Come on. There's no way. There's no way. If it's not working on Chrome, then now is the time to switch to Firefox. I'll say that. Why Axios over Fetch? Because Axios includes automatic parsing built in. It includes error handling and a bunch of other stuff that you really want when you're making HTTP requests. Whereas Fetch, you have to do all of that manually, which is why I don't do that. Okay, this is the site. We're going to go on a raid, so here are the raid messages. If you're a sub, you can use this raid message. Stop it, Acid Spark. It's not working in Netscape Navigator. If you're not a sub, you can go here. Why are there no spaces in that function? What function? This function? This is my code style, and it looks good. If you don't like the way this code looks, then you prefer a different code style. That's all. I don't know what you want from me. I think that's it. You're great. I appreciate you. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for the raid earlier, the Primogen. Shout out to GK Beat with that Prime sub, Julian with 100 bits, Rafalu with the Prime sub. I appreciate you all. Boga hey, Art Bajan. Boga hey. Or Boga goodbye, Electrothermal. Yeah, you're all welcome. Thanks for being here. I don't know who we're going to raid, but whoever we raid, Show them lots of love. Drop a follow if you like what they're doing. All that good stuff. That turn.js library is breaking Chrome. That's unfortunate. It works in Firefox. It works on my machine. Cool. Wherever you are in the world, have a wonderful morning, afternoon, evening, or night. And until next time, here's this.